And everybody, my name is Julian Blaine, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about secondhand markets and their importance. So first, we should establish what secondhand consumption and markets are. So secondhand consumption, by definition, is just the practice of purchasing items that have already been owned by someone. So say you sell an old jacket to a thrift store, and then someone buys that thrift store. They're buying it secondhand. Buys that jacket. They're purchasing it secondhand. They're buying an already used item. So that is, by definition, secondhand consumption. And to go with that, secondary markets are a market or a place where you can purchase previously owned items. So this can be online or in person. Some notable examples are websites like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Depop. You can also count regular thrift stores and pawn shops. I have an image of Pawn Stars up on the screen. That's obviously a more notable and televised example, but it does fit for what a secondary market is. And within these markets, you can purchase things from clothes, electronics, furniture, books, whatever you might want. Stocks included. One of the big benefits to stocks and the stock is the stock market, the ability to resell the stocks you purchase for hopefully a greater price than what you paid. So I want you guys to think about and answer the question, how has technology and websites like eBay and Depop influenced or changed your shopping habits, if at all? Feel free to let me know in your responses. I'll give you a second to think about it. All right. On to the next. We're going to talk about the benefits of secondhand consumption. So for one, secondhand consumption reduces waste, because when you shop secondhand, you're allowing someone to get rid of an unwanted item without them just throwing it away. They're not putting it on the side of the curb. It's not going to the landfills. It's going to somewhere where it's hopefully going to get more use and extend its lifetime. In addition, it reduces your carbon footprint, because you aren't purchasing a product that took a lot of manufacturing and carbon emissions and things like that to produce. So you are doing a good thing for the environment. In addition, a lot of the time you're going to get cheaper products depending on how used an item is or how eager someone is to get rid of an item. You can find high quality goods for a really discounted rate, which is a good thing for everybody. Everybody likes cheap things. I know I do personally. And real quick, if you guys have a minute, feel free to go just look on Facebook Marketplace and see how many items you can find for under $50 or even free with it just like a minute of scrolling on the homepage. I bet it's a lot. But that just gives you the idea of what you're working with. And in addition, you get the opportunity to give or earn back some money, because when you're selling something secondhand, it allows you to get a little bit of cash for something that you're not going to use anymore. So selling an old dresser for $30 sounds like a lot better a deal than just putting it out on the curb and letting someone take it away for free. Now let's talk about some companies with buyback and upcycling. In recent years, companies have been starting to try and incorporate these buyback programs more frequently, but it isn't anything we haven't seen before. One example that stands out to me is REI's resupply program. This allows REI co-op members to trade in old gear for gift cards or store credit. It reduces waste, because the items are then resold to you, a consumer looking to get something secondhand. Now, most REI stores do come with a designated resupply section to their store. I know the Spokane REI has one. But there are also two resupply dedicated stores with only secondhand items. This can be found in Manhattan Beach, California, or Clackamas, Oregon. Something to note is that REI isn't the only company that does this. Levi's, Patagonia, Lululemon, IKEA, etc. have similar programs. So it's not just REI, but this was the most notable example to me personally. Now, what do you guys think? Do you think secondhand consumption could rival fast fashion trends like companies like Shein, who produce products for really cheap and then sell it to you for really cheap? Do you think secondhand consumption can rival that, or do you think fast fashion takes the win? Let me know. Think about it. 1, 2, 3. All right. Now, is this a good thing? In my opinion, yes. And I think it's good for companies and for consumers. For companies, you get to earn revenue off of resale. You get to potentially sell an item that you already sold again. So you're earning more money, and you're not losing that money to companies like eBay, who allow the consumers to sell it themselves and they take a fee. All that money is going to you instead of another company selling your products. In addition, it can build customer loyalty, because if a consumer buys a product and then they're able to sell it back to you and get something out of it, they're gonna see that as valuable. It's gonna be a meaningful experience, and it might lead to them purchasing more from your company. So it's always a good thing, especially when you link it to a membership program, like how REI Resupply is for REI Co-op members. Everybody benefits, and it can also help support your ESG goals. If you don't know what ESG is, it stands for environmental, social, and governance. Basically refers to how a company is ran and their practices, and having a buyback program helps support sustainability, which leads to better environmental practices. And for consumers, obviously you stand to gain something financially, whether it's store credit or money, but you gain something from it, and it can lead to purchasing new products at a cheaper price because you're using that money that you gained back. So it benefits the consumer. It's also more sustainable than shopping for brand new products, and you're able to purchase goods at a discounted rate. So everybody gains a little bit of some. But what do consumers think? Well, according to Euromonitor International, already about 24% of global consumers shop secondhand for environmental reasons, and unsurprising to me, but maybe surprising to you, 40% of Gen Z and millennials shop secondhand pretty frequently. You can see the disparity between Gen Z and millennials compared to Gen X and baby boomers here. To me, this illustrates a very different, important difference between, a generation's needs and their consumption patterns. But I think this is likely due just to increasing prices and income disparities. Someone in Gen Z of our age likely doesn't have the funds to go buy something brand new, compared to baby boomers who, if they're not already retired, are close to it and have the wealth to go buy out the brand, the Gucci store or whatever. They can afford to buy the products new, compared to Gen Z and millennials who are maybe on a tighter budget. Now, I got a couple more questions for you guys. Can you think of any other reasons younger generations might lean towards secondhand shoppings other than just how much money they have and the cost? And what do you think about the cultural shift towards secondhand shopping? Is it more socially acceptable today? Why do you think, if it is, why do you think it is more socially acceptable? Let me know down below in the comments. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's move on. And now, how can companies start to integrate buyback programs? It's very important that when a company is looking to do this, they understand the market. Is there a demand for purchasing your product secondhand? If you're like a sock or underwear company, people probably don't want to buy your products used. They want a fresh set of underwear. They want a fresh set of socks. They don't want something that's already had someone's feet and private areas all up in there. So there's not necessarily a market for buybacks. But on the other end, companies like GameStop, there's a lot of older consoles and games that are hard to access because they're from 10 years ago, and it's hard to find them at a reasonable price online because they're exclusive. If you wanted to go purchase a Nintendo 3DS, you can't just go get that off of Nintendo's website. You'd have to go find it used. So a company like GameStop having a buyback program allows people to get rid of their old tech, old games, excuse me, and allows you, the consumer, to find what you need at hopefully a reasonable price. You also need to understand your products. Is your product something that will last if it's resold? Will it need a lot of maintenance? Is it durable or easy to repair? If you have a jacket, let's say REI is trying to resell a jacket, well, is that jacket going to be beat up and worn in and not suitable for the next person if you try to resell it, or will it hold its shape and its strength and still be a quality product after a year or two of use from somebody else, probably longer. And you also need to understand your finances. Is the cost incurred from shipping and buybacks and repairs worth the potential revenue? How do you want to price your resold products? Do you want to sell them for cheap? Do you want to sell them for try and get a lot of money for them? And what incentive will you give back to the consumers looking to give you their products? Are you going to give them a store credit, just a gift card? Maybe you want to just try and give them a high five and a pat on the back. How are you going to motivate consumers to give their products to you? Now, for my overall opinion on secondhand markets, I think they're great. And I'll give you a couple reasons, but we've already talked about them, so you probably get the gist. Sustainability. Secondhand markets are great for reducing waste and are good for our environment, which is an A+ reason you should be using them. Added value. Kind of talked about this with the stock market, but if you purchase a product and you can resell it, it adds value to that product because it ensures that you will get something for a product once its lifetime with you has expired. You're not just giving up a product for nothing, and it's you stand to benefit from this. Also, affordability, like we talked about. Companies who do this will usually sell these used products for cheaper, and this is good because not everyone can afford a brand new product. I can't go purchase. There's a lot of families that can't go purchase the brand new Arc'teryx rain jacket or the nice designer stuff. And so being able to get, high quality goods at a discounted price benefits people with those financial burdens who can't afford to splurge on brand new items. And in addition, I think it also just benefits companies. We talked about customer loyalty, but as a potential benefit, but also companies can benefit from having the, make a profit off of having the buyback option and the sustainability aspect of it and the ESG goals. So I think secondhand markets stand to help really everybody involved. Here's my Works Cited page. Thank you guys for listening, and I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say below.